right, we're here. Hello, Barbara. Welcome.
Hi, Barry. Good to see you.
It's great to see you. And through the miracle of everyone's most dreaded thing having to do, a Zoom call.
Right. Yeah, we've done way too many of them this year.
Maybe this will be the beginning of the end. Do you believe
I
that?
do. I'm feeling very cautiously optimistic, shall we say. I've had both my vaccines, and many of my friends here in Jonesboro have also gotten theirs. My kids out in Oregon are scheduled to get theirs next week. So I'm feeling like we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel.
Same here. I was able to well, for one thing, in Virginia, you do this registry and then you list what your pre-existing conditions are. And this is the
Right.
one time that being overweight has been to my advantage.
Right.
I was like, all right, yes, finally. I've been working on this for decades.
I knew it all along, right?
Yeah. Well, again, thank you so much, and we've got a little bit of time here. And we want to ask you some questions, but the world wants to. Your fans are itching to know. It's been a year. It's been about 1 year. Actually, March 15th in Virginia was a year ago. Was when the governor shut things down, and we had the order that went out. And so, tell us about your year. Without it being too much of a downer. Tell us about your year.
Well, I had these great plans when I found out I was going to be in lockdown for a while. I was going to write all kinds of new stories. I was going to have all this new material ready to debut just as soon as the world opened up again. That didn't happen. I tried. I really did. I put the honest effort into it. What I realized is I'm used to working on new material on trains, planes, and automobiles. And when I'm just home sitting in my comfortable chair with nobody around, no interruptions, nothing to do but that, it's the last thing I want to do. And so I found I didn't have the focus for it. The other thing that, of course, I realized is that material that's going to be used orally needs to have an audience as an editor. And without my audience there to edit the material, I had no idea if it was any good or not, if it was working, if it was not working. And so I finally just ditched that effort and moved on to new projects and decided, well, for the next year, I'll just have to tell material I've told before because I know already how audiences generally react to it. So the new project I took up, I truly became a little old lady of the South, and I learned how to quilt. It's not something I ever expected I would do. I remember being out in Utah several years ago, and I went to meet with a group of ladies who were a quilting club. And they had been meeting for years, quilting together. And they said to me, would you like to learn to quilt? And I said, I don't think I have the patience for it. And I remember so vividly and fondly, one of those ladies said to me, quilting doesn't take patience, it teaches you patience. And so I decided, okay, that's something I need to learn. So I took up quilting. I have to tell you, I learned everything that I know on YouTube. So I'm probably doing a lot of things wrong. And the quilts that I have made in the past year are absolutely worthless in terms of what they might do for you. They don't keep you warm. They will not cover up your bed. They won't go in a guest room and make anybody feel welcome. What they do for me is spark joy, because I call them art quilts. And so I just freeform it. I hate measuring. I hate following directions. I hate math. And so my quilts don't require any of that. They're absolutely whatever I decide I want them to be. And so I have made rainbow striped zebras. I've made blue and green elephants. Right now I'm working on quilted spirit goddesses, and they speak to me. They keep me company. They whisper words of wisdom to me. And so that's been, I think, the most fun thing that I have done during the pandemic is learning to create art with fabric.
I, I think a page on your website is required. Barbara's Stream of Consciousness Quilts.
Right. Maybe so. Actually, when I recorded the stories for this festival, I used a couple of my quilts in the background on 2 or 3 of the stories. So for the audiences who will be watching those, look for some of those quilts and you'll see.
Okay, well, you can rest assured that we'll keep the trolls off of the videos because we've got our settings to safe for children, which turns off the comments. So all the quilt trolls will not be out there dissing your unusual
Right.
quilt style.
Right.
And you say that they're of absolutely zero value except sparking joy, which is of course is a Marie Kondo thing.
Right.
But what you're doing, is you're creating things that will last forever because no one ever throws away a quilt.
That's true. I mean, this one right here on the back of my chair is one that my mother made about 40 years ago. And I love it. I take it around the house with me. I cover up while I'm watching television. It's really a lap quilt. It's not a bed quilt, but she made it knowing that it would keep somebody warm, cuddled up, reading a good book or whatever they needed to do. And it does that for me. So I hope mine will serve that purpose someday for whoever in my family ends up with them.
They'll be cursed with having to deal with it
Right.
one day. What another? There's another closet full of quilts. What?
Another pandemic quilt? Oh no!
You single-handedly kept the craft store open in Jonesboro, Tennessee.
Right.
Well, it's too bad that we don't have you in person here this year because it would have been the least farther you had to travel just from Jonesboro, Tennessee.
That's right. I could have driven there. That was my plan.
Over the beautiful mountains up lovely Interstate 81.
Oh yes.
Well, and so you've been here before, and I know that Tennessee is not too foreign. From Southwest Virginia, but your time here at our festival, and you've been a part of the growth of our festival. You were here in some of the early years, and have seen it kind of grow as you keep coming back. And I think each time you've come back, we've almost doubled in size. So tell us about your memories of your time here at the camp or as part of the festival.
Well, one of the strongest memories has to do with how good it smells when you arrive. It's always the beginning of spring, and things are beginning to blossom, and there's new grass coming out, and the leaves are popping out on the trees, and it's just you walk around saying, oh, spring has come again. And it's lovely. It feels wonderful. The air is crisp, but it's warm enough that you don't have to wear a coat except maybe early in the morning. And I remember there's this wonderful little pond. I think it has geese on it. Am I remembering that? Or are they ducks? Or are they're not swans, are they?
There are very threatening geese that return every year and make quite a mess. So that's another story for another time. But
Right.
I'm glad you felt the lovely geese. I'm glad they didn't attack you.
Not a single one attacked me. In fact, I still have pictures on my phone from my last visit that I took of those birds out on the water. And I remember this little brook, a beautiful little brook, where the water was sort of trickling down. And I kept thinking, oh, it's probably melted snow coming out of the mountains. I don't know that it was, but it was lovely. And that my last visit there, I did take a lot of pictures. I was sharing the experience with my husband. He was supposed to have come with me that year, but he was diagnosed with leukemia an acute form. And so he was in the hospital, but he insisted that I come to Camp Bethel. He knew how much I loved it. And he said, you go, just send me pictures. So I did. I took dozens of pictures and would share them every day with him so that he could feel like he was sort of there with me at Camp Bethel. So that's a wonderful memory.
That's great. That's great. How about some of the food that at the festival? That's one of the things of not being in person that we're going to really miss out on is this.
Oh yeah.
Any particular food memory?
Well, the best thing about the food there that I remember is that all of the tellers stay together in a large cabin. And we all have our own rooms, of course, but getting to be with the other tellers and sharing meals with them in that big cabin. And, you know, Alan's wife, Carol, does a lot of the cooking. And I know that several women join her in that effort of making us all feel full and satisfied and happy. And everything was just delicious. And it felt like you were with a family that, you know, meant a great deal to you. And every time I've been there, it's been a different group of tellers, but it's always been warm and comfortable, and you know, you miss it when you're gone.
Several of the other tellers from this year's festival have mentioned the exact same thing, that camaraderie, where at other places maybe you're kind of sequestered in a motel room and you know, kind of you know, ushered backstage, you know, into the green room or something.
Right.
Well, we're glad you enjoy that, those teeny tiny little uncomfortable beds and those really thin walls in which you can hear how badly someone snores next door.
If there's a storyteller who's a musician in the room next to you, you get to hear all of their rehearsals.
Tuning again.
Right.
Don't book banjo players.
Right.
Well, you have lived all over the country and performed everywhere, and now you're kind of right in the heart of it there in Jonesboro. And you can't bomb in Jonesboro, or I guess you can, but you know, but I'd love to hear. You know, I know that as a career and having done this, and with all the books and the performances and all the things that you've done, it's sometimes fun to look back now on the career and talk about one of those bombs or one of those really awful venues or something. Now that we have the, you know, the perspective of time. Anyone that stands out for you that's kind of a fun one to talk about?
Yeah, actually, my very first time here in Jonesboro, when I told at the festival in 1991, I remember having 2 sets back to back. And so it was a pretty tight schedule. And, you know, you get half an hour in between sets, and but you've got to go from one tent on one side of town to a tent on the other side of town. And as you make your way, you know, you're stopping to chat with people and shake hands and hug. And so anyway, I was in a hurry, and, but I had to stop in one of the porta potties on the way. Or I couldn't go on stage without doing that. So I made a quick pit stop. Unfortunately, I was wearing overalls. And, you know, when you take down overalls, you know how the straps kind of fall behind you. And yeah, so the straps fell into the porta potty. I didn't know that at the time. Then when I fastened them up, I quickly discovered what I had done. And then I had to rush out to the little hand washing station and try to wash my overall straps. So anyway, I went on stage with these soaking wet straps, just drenched down the front of my clothing. And it was just a mess, you know, through the entire set. Water was dripping into my shoes from my porta potty soaked overalls. It was just horrible. Now, people told me afterwards that they didn't even notice, but I know they were lying because I was new and they were being kind. But anyway, that was one of the worst. And it was my fault. Now, another occasion I remember that was not my fault. It was not in Jonesboro. It was actually, I made the mistake of agreeing to tell stories at a festival that somebody thought was a great idea to put in a shopping mall at Easter. And so it was just about this time of year, and we were telling on a stage in the mall with shoppers everywhere. Uh, People with rolling garbage cans past us, and on a stage, probably not more than 25, 30 feet from us, was the Easter Bunny. And children were in line to see the Easter Bunny and get their pictures taken. And many of the children were terrified by the big Easter Bunny, and they were screaming and crying. And we were trying to tell stories just a few feet from that. It was horrible. I swore then, and I've stuck to it, I will never tell stories in a shopping mall ever again. Ever.
You had me at mall,
Right.
mall,
Right.
not a venue. No. Oh goodness. Well, we hope that telling stories to a camera to submit to our festival doesn't make that future list of worst performance venues ever. And I think they did know what happened in the Porta-John, because the next teller who came up was asking why there was blue liquid all over the all over the stage. That that blue stuff that's down in the
Right.
Porta-Johns. We've been asking, and kind of without permission, sort of kidding around and ribbing Donald Davis in our interviews with folks, because Donald is a routine regular with us, and we take credit for introducing he and Trish. So we're Cupid for Donald, and
Right.
so he kind of owes us, and so we feel like we can get away with a little extra ribbing for Donald. Any Donald Davis wisdom or impersonation, or cracking the Donald code as Kevin did, or
I would, the only way I would ever try to impersonate Donald would be before a live audience, because that's the only way if they think it's funny or if they think you've just insulted Donald. And so I've introduced him hundreds of times at festivals all over the country, and I've called him many things. I have, and yet he always forgives me. We've been friends for about 35 years now, and we go back so far that I remember when Donald's hair was brown and there was a lot more of it. And and I remember the first time I ever saw him tell in Jonesboro, I told him he looked like a Boy Scout who had just crawled out of the woods. He was wrinkled. His clothes were wrinkled. His skin was quite firm and young. And I remember saying, "You need somebody to dress you." And lo and behold, it was soon after that he married Merle Davis, and she did. She helped him get better outfits to wear, and after that, he just improved so much. I mean, that clothing just changed his style as a storyteller. And then, of course, after Merle died, he was so very fortunate to meet Trish, and what a perfect pair they are. And she also keeps him well dressed. And so thanks to the ladies in his life, Donald is a much better person. And I know how fond you all are of him there, and how you're going to miss seeing him and Trish come back this year.
That's right. The two women who found bow ties.
Yes.
To be sexy.
Yes, right. They may be the only two women in the world.
Hey, it was meant to be. It was meant to be. Just kidding, Donald. We love you and your bow tie, and Barbara, we love you, and we thank you so much for, first of all, just agreeing to, we had booked you a year ago or more, but agreeing to shift to a video format. How did it go? How did recording go? I'm sure we're not the first one you've done it for.
No, I guess I've done it enough now that I am a little more comfortable with it than I was a year ago. I don't like it anymore. It just feels wrong. I so desperately miss having an audience. Applause is my drug of choice. And so without that, I feel sad when I try to tell a story to a camera. But, I keep telling myself, this is the only way we can do it. We're surviving. We're doing the best we can. I miss being part of an audience myself. I find when I try to watch a performance that should be live and I'm watching it on a tiny screen, I lose focus. I get up and I walk away. In a tent, in a venue like yours, I would never walk out in the middle of a performance. I would be riveted to that person on stage. And, I miss that so desperately, being that aura of being part of a crowd and just hanging on the words of the storyteller. And so it's been hard. And I know it's coming back. I so look forward to it. I really want to be there in person with other people.
We look forward to you ushering it back with you when you come back in a few years. Maybe what we can do for your videos is I can play around with a dubbed laugh track, like from Happy Days, or something. The old laugh track from, remember MASH? Watching MASH, and it was always the dubbed laugh track. But when they were in surgery in the hospital, there was no laughter.
Yes,
it was all serious. And then, okay. We won't do
that.
Thank you for your time. We're so excited to watch your stories, and since you enjoy an audience so much, maybe I will turn the comments on your videos and let people say that wasn't any good or that was great.
Right? Are you kidding?
Ha ha ha.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you very, very much. And we will see you online, and we'll see you soon in the future.
Thank you, Barry. And beware the Ides of March.
Oh, I wasn't going to say anything.
Yeah.
Me comes to interview thee, not to bury you.
Right. Thank you.
That's right. We come to mock Donald Davis, not to bury him.
Exactly.
Thank you for watching. We appreciate you watching, and we especially appreciate your gift to Camp Bethel to help us through this year. Use the links and buttons on this page, and you can tip the tellers too. So from all of us at the Camp Bethel staff, thank you. From all of us at the Camp Bethel staff. That's good.